Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today, we're going to be doing another part in the Is It Worth Doing series. Now I know this is kind of like an awkward break in the test realm videos, but it is currently Sunday and the test realm is not live as far as I know. Probably should have checked that, but usually it's not live on the weekends. So I was like, whatever, I'll do another Is It Worth Doing series and then I'll go back to going over the remaining test realm features. There's actually not that much left, but I figured I would at least mention that. Today, we're going to be doing a recommendation that I've got a few times and one I've actually wanted to do, and that is Atlantea. Is Atlantea worth doing? Now, the reason why I kind of wanted to go over this was the fact that Atlantea is that awkward middle child where it's like, obviously Mount Olympus is worth doing because the Sky and Hasta, and then Tartarus is usually worth doing because Cronus is a good place to farm Amber, the Blade of Fell Titan, whatever. Some of the Hades gear is actually good, but a lot of people don't really seem to know whether Atlantea is worth doing. Now, obviously, I'm opinionated on this. I got some opinions on whether it's actually worth it or not, and I'll kind of go over those later, but let's actually get into the quest line and get in how to do the dungeon. Now, you do originally get this quest from Cyrus Drake, but at some point in my life, I was tired of Cyrus Drake giving me quests, so I accepted it and then did literally only the first part of the quest, and now Romulus actually has the quest for me. I just didn't accept it. So you can see here, originally, you would have gone to Cyrus Drake, but I'm just kind of like that, I didn't want that quest showing up whenever I talked to Cyrus Drake, so I decided to move it to Romulus. Basically, the gist of it is that you're here and you're here to challenge the second part of the Immortal Games. The first part was Zeus, and Zeus was very heavily holding back against you to kind of test your mettle, right? Now we're going against Poseidon, and Poseidon is actually going to hold back significantly less than Zeus here. And you'll see that that's actually a legitimate kind of thing. Especially at level 70, this might be a bit of a difficult boss, and 70 is obviously when you unlock it. But enough prelude, let's get into the actual dungeon itself and get into the kind of laydown. What's popping here? And boom, here you go. You enter, and now we need to actually do the quest. Now, one thing that's worth pointing out, and you can see here, is this quest actually gives quite a bit of XP. 97,000 at this level, plus the original 13,000. That is a solid 110,000 XP, which is nothing to scoff at level 70. Like, that's actually legitimately good, so do keep that in mind. Now, the first quest of this dungeon, the first part, is defeating 3 of these. As I am solo, this is going to be kind of annoying for me because I'm going to have to do 2 battles, but I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. That just barely managed to kill them. I could have actually just done it in 1, but they took too long and didn't get in the battle, so that's unfortunate, but what can you do? Alright, and here we go. This should take out the second group of them. I'm kind of a little bit annoyed I didn't do this in 1 battle, but it's okay. We took them down all pretty easy, and that's the first part of the thing done. Now, one important thing to note right here is this is where the secret boss is, you can see, just like off to the side in this little ship. To the Poseidon adventure, it says. It is definitely an adventure in of itself. Now, I'm gonna go into later, actually, whether I think it's worth farming for Amber from this squid, because that is why people say to do it. I'm going to go into whether that's worth it or not, but as of right now, I'm just going to point out it is right there if you want to actually do it. All right, so next up is Lamia, and I am going to just pretend that I didn't try to spam 4-pip AoEs and fail this, so I'm going to go back and do it again. Now, there are a lot of bosses in this dungeon, like Lamia, who have some cheats, but they're so minor that they're not even worth mentioning. And by so minor, I mean like very, very minor. You can see that there's this bubble thing. She has a thing where she puts a hex on you. It's all like really easy and negligible cheats, so I'm not even going to mention them for future bosses. Realistically, you can just treat these all as if they didn't have cheats in the slightest. Now, all these bosses have around 10k health, so that's important to note if you're a little bit scared of bosses with 10k health. It's nothing too major, and if you have feints, you should be fine. Just double or single feint them, and you're all good. And I'm not going to bore you with the details anymore, just going to actually use Orthrus on her. I'm actually going to blade a bit more first because I don't think I can do 10k with only 1 blade. This Orthrus should kill her. We should be absolutely fine after we take her out. Honestly, I might have been a bit overkill here. I'm not entirely sure. It was pretty good. So pretty on target, but we defeated Lamia. Now we can go back to Hermes and talk to him once again. Swift, yeah, sure, that was definitely Swift. In case you didn't know, as I mentioned earlier, I tried to spam 4-pip AoEs at her and may or may not have not killed her, and then had to do it again, so that took me like 10 minutes, which is definitely not what it should have taken. But here we are again. Let's defeat Arion's spiny stallion here. He has a little bit less health, but once again, you don't need to worry about cheats. The cheats are nothing major at all. All right, here we go. Next Orthrus. This one should kill just as fine as the last one. I just did the same thing. Oh, I just realized I have a weakness, but it should be fine. Oh, that is a -40 weakness. Crossing my fingers. Okay, that didn't kill. That's unfortunate, but I do have another Orthrus, so we're fine. All right, and boss number 2 is done and dusted with. There we go. Beat him up and get the second Onyx Sea Cow. Let me throw some feints in my deck, so I don't need to worry about that. And also, I'm going to use a potion. I know it feels stupid to use a potion in a level 70 dungeon, but what can you do, I guess? All right, back to Hermes. Another victory, and now we fight the third boss. Again, this dungeon is just kind of like a boss rush to Poseidon. It's just boss after boss after boss. All are just regular bosses. Like, they don't have interesting cheats at all. This one is a myth, so I'm going to actually need to convert for him, which is a little bit annoying, but it's fine.
Charged me to slaughter any who darkened the door of this temple.
Okay, you're a little bit extra, my guy, but it's okay. It's fine. My guy is like,
Aphrodite charged me to kill anyone who darkened the door of this temple.
I know that's not exactly what he sounds like, but that's what I imagine he sounds like in my head. And he also stunned me, which is really unfortunate. Massive W, stun resisted. Yes, you love to see it. You love to see it. That is the best feeling in the world. Can I just say that? Having stun resist is just so fun. If you don't have stun resist on your square jewels, please go get stun resist on your square jewels. It's just such a fun feeling. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get 2 out of 2, to be honest. I have like 10% stun resist. If I manage to get 2 out of 2, I will be amazed. Oh! This has been the most massive W I've had like all week. Honestly, that should be enough to kill, I imagine. With a feint and then a boost and whatever, should be completely fine. Bonk. Okay, yeah, that was more than enough. Feint is definitely the way to go. All right. We beat them. Now we gotta go do the puzzle section. We're getting through the dungeon. That was probably the worst part, is the 3 first bosses that are all just kind of like there. They're not particularly interesting or anything, but they exist. All right, next the siren is like, okay, you need to figure out our puzzle because that is important. Now, basically, what you're doing here at this puzzle is you can see there's these things trapped up here. You need to follow the pipes and how they actually go. Now, I read the puzzle online, but it's actually not that easy to figure out otherwise. It's 1, 3, 4. So you can kind of see right here, you know, if you follow the pathways, it goes to the things where there's things blocking the cord. Boom. You did it. If you didn't do it, you would just need to do another fight. It's nothing too major. Now we need to defeat this, like, emo girl. I don't know what she was on about there. She was all like, oh, the things suck and everything. And, you know, it's kind of sad, but what can you do? That's a -40% weakness, which is really unfortunate, but what can you do? I have Cleanse Charms in my treasure cards, so I'm just going to use one, you know? I feel like not having that -40 would potentially make me be able to kill without another blade, so I'm just going to try it, see what happens. Damn, that dude's kind of thick. Zoomed in right on his ass, like that was kind of whack. And boom, another easy clap for Noah. So next up, we have some like guard things. We basically just beat them up. It's just 4 ice enemies. They're probably annoying with shields and stuff, but if you go first like I did, you shouldn't have to worry about it. Just hit them with a 4-pip AoE. Oh, and I boost on them. That's sick. Alright, so next up, you place the 2 sea cows on the pedestal, and boom, you can now fight Poseidon. Now, I will say, Poseidon is a bit of a challenge, actually. He has 16,000 health, but otherwise, some important things to note. First off, he will immediately cast an infallible on him because he has his whole cheat like, oh, the immortals are infallible. It's nothing really to worry about. That is a minor cheat. In terms of other cheats, is you can't place traps on him at all. No single target traps. If you do multi-target traps, they will stay on, but there's another caveat to that. His natural attack will remove traps. So it's possible that he'll just still naturally remove traps even without you placing a trap on him. So realistically, do keep that in mind. And there is a potential pain of him removing your traps. So keep that in mind. Just be ready for him to remove anything you place on him. Now, you may have noticed I packed Pierce. The main reason why I did that is because I don't trust this early game dungeon enough for him to not place a -80 myth shield on him. It's very possible that he does, so I figured I would pack a Pierce just in case. Now, I will say this fight is a little bit challenging, but it shouldn't be too difficult. Realistically, the main way to go about it is just to blade stack as much as you can and then just go for it, right? So in my case, I'm just going to use 3 myth blades and then attack. I have some more attacks just in case I don't kill, but that is the gist of what I'm doing, and that's what most of you will probably do as well. By this point, you should already be able to blade stack at least 2 to 3 times potentially, especially, you know, you can have treasure cards, stuff like that. Oh, this is annoying. Can I get another stun resist? Let's see. Can I get another 10% stun resist? Because I will be amazed if I do. Damn it. Tragic. What can you do? All right, let's try to take him out. If this doesn't kill Poseidon, which it probably won't, to be completely honest, because I only have 2 blades, I have a few other spells to cast on him just in case. All right, that actually did really good damage to Poseidon, so we should be completely fine here, to be completely honest. I'm just gonna hit with Orthrus right away again, because I think that'll, I'm pretty sure it'll kill, especially with the boost. If it doesn't, I have Humongofrogus back up. All right, bonk, and Poseidon is defeated. There we go. We've beaten the quest. I got the Poseidon hat, as you can see, pretty darn cool if I do say so myself. A nice little hat that, you know, I could potentially use if I want to. You can see it's actually not that bad. It does have some pretty cool stats. All right, there you go. Talk to him, and then I also needed to do my pet quest right here. But you can see I did that pretty well. The dungeon is done and dusted with, and now we can talk about, is it worth doing? So first off, let's talk about the drops. Let's talk about the actual gear itself. Now, if you don't know, the general opinion on Atlantea gear is that it is not worth farming for at all. I will say it's actually a potential increase and is actually pretty interesting. You can see compared to the Waterworks gear, if you don't have the Waterworks memorized, that's fine. I don't really either, but I can just kind of give you a basic idea. It gives slightly less damage, higher crit, but it also gives some pierce as well. And you can see it also gives power pip and accuracy for presumably everyone. That is an interesting kind of little stat increase if you want to. I would say that it's not really worth it for the gear, and most of the gear isn't particularly worth it. The main reason why you'd want it is pierce, but realistically, pierce at level 70 isn't going to be super important, and it's not super valuable. This is a dungeon that I would not farm for the gear. It's not really worth doing in the slightest in my opinion, and the robe and boots are no different. They're all going to be a downgrade in damage compared to Waterworks, but an increase in crit and an increase in pierce. So if that's interesting to you, go ahead, but it's also a decrease in resist, so that's potentially a downside. It's more of a skewed on the advanced character statistics side. So that's what I have to say about the gear. This dungeon doesn't really drop anything else particularly of value as far as I know. It's nothing really that interesting, so there is that. On top of that, let's talk about something I'm sure people are curious about, and that is the Sand Squid. I showed you where it is in the beginning. The Sand Squid exists, and what it is notorious for is dropping a lot of amber. I'm just gonna say it right now, this is not how I would go about getting amber. I know some people stick true to this method and they say the Sand Squid is the best for actually getting the amber, but I just don't think so. It does proportionally drop a little bit higher amber, but Cronus is just much better because his cheats and him in general is just much easier to deal with. In the case of the Sand Squid, it is 4 enemies. I believe 2 of them are bosses, 2 of them are lesser, and they all have a decent amount of health, it's going to be a bit hard, especially since they're all myth and they'll be spamming Earthquake and stuff. In my opinion, it's just not worth it. Cronus is definitely much better for farming Amber, in my opinion. So there is that. Now let's get into the final section of this video, the section you all want. Is it worth doing? Well, I would say, obviously, yes, for a one-time for that XP. 110,000 XP is nothing to scoff at level 70. That's probably enough for a full level up, and it's definitely worth it in that regard. There's obviously a badge as well if you want to do it for that. But in terms of gear, once again, no. So is this dungeon worth doing? It's up to you. I'm sure most people would probably say no, and even me myself, I would probably say no, because as you could see at 150, I still hadn't done it, and I haven't done it on a lot of wizards. I think the only wizard I've done Atlantea besides my myth is my fire, and obviously my fire has completed a lot of this game just for the sake of completing it. I would say in most cases, it's just not worth doing. But that's really it for today. Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Do you think Atlantea is worth doing? I'm gonna have to trim this down. This is 40 minutes of footage. I'm sure it'll be cut down quite a lot, but whatever. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to drop a like, hit the sub button, but otherwise that's it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Adios.